down in Munster, Páirc Uí Chaoimh, Cork versus Tipperary. Now, two sides that are on 1 win each from one game, 100% records. Two new eras, obviously, at the start. Liam Cahill with Tipperary, you know, the era that everybody knew was coming, even though Liam Cahill persistently said that he wasn't going to go. And now, predictably, he did. Cork as well, under Pat Ryan. Great victory over Waterford, although, let's be honest, it was a Waterford side that was miles off the pace in the first half. Tipperary got a great win over Clare, who then obviously have just gone on to beat Limerick. So this game could be really, really interesting because whoever wins this, you'd imagine, looking pretty comfortable up there at the top.
Yeah, I think so. And it'll be interesting to see how Tipperary, you know, is this a tactic that they're going to be just looking for goals all the time? Like, 5 goals against Clare. And look, it would seem like Liam Cahill's style to sort of encourage that. Now, what I'd be interested to see after this game is whoever wins, like, they are going to really fancy their chances with Limerick. Whoever wins this game, I think, will fancy topping the group. And it'll be interesting also to see if Cork's win over Waterford and the scoreline kind of flattered them a little bit. I don't know if I've seen Cork looking that much different than they looked last year. There's not that many new personnel, and they don't seem they've improved much in terms of physicality or in that sense. I think Waterford were just a shambles, to be honest. They look very lost. They don't really know what the sort of game plan is. So I think the Tipperary would kind of know that they're in a good place at the moment, especially when you see how Clare done against Limerick. But it'll just be down to whether Cork are as good as that result actually seemed. So yeah, I can't wait for it as well. Now, Cork in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, it's not really a cauldron as such. You know, a lot of people would say Cork would nearly rather play in Thurles. So I think the home factor isn't going to count that much. But I just want to see what Cork are actually made of when Tipperary are so fit and strong at the moment, to see whether they'll just completely overpower Cork.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree about the home advantage as well. I think home advantage in the provincial hurling championships plays a way bigger role in the Leinster Championship than it does in the Munster Championship. Like, all the teams in Munster have played each other so often, they pretty much know each other's grounds like the back of their hands, especially Thurles. Whereas if you go to the Leinster, Antrim are a completely different team in Corrigan Park in Belfast than they are away from home. Although they did put up a good performance against Wexford. We'll get to Wexford in a minute. But I completely agree with you about Waterford as well. I think they were, I've never seen them that off the pace. In the first half, only scoring 1 point from play. They looked so unthreatening in the first half. They did show flashes of coming back in the second half, but Cork were very quick to shut it down. And in their forward line, look, they did look sharp. But this is the only thing that I was saying. And Tipperary do kind of have an advantage here, is you know who Tipperary's key guys are in the forward line. You know it's always Jason Ford. It's always Noel McGrath. And now they're supplementing that with the likes of Garrod O'Connor breaking onto the scene. Whereas Cork, and I was having this chat with GAA last one, Cork tend to chop and change between their star player pretty much every year for various reasons. But one year it's Conor Lehan, then it's Alan Cadigan, then it's Shane Kingston. He's in and out of the team. Alan Connolly in and out of the team. Shane Barrett in and out of the team. Declan Dalton in and out of the team. If you look at Limerick, you know Limerick 6 forwards before every game. Is that something that Pat Ryan should try and nail down? Like, if I was him, I would go with the exact same 6 forwards in this game that I went with against Waterford, even though Robbie O'Flynn is back. I'd probably put Robbie O'Flynn as definitely a starter for Cork. but just to achieve some continuity there for Cork.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Robbie O'Flynn, I think that is the one player that maybe they could build something around. Like the problem I think that they have in Cork is all them players are a bit similar. You don't have like a Gerard Hegarty. You don't have a big, horse of a man that is a great ball winner. They're all really good hurlers, but I don't know, are they, as good at the sort of donkey work as he would be. So I think that's where a lot of their issue is in that sense. Like, and then Patrick Horgan started the last day, and like he hadn't played much hurling whatsoever. So I don't know what they're sort of gonna do with him now. I know from looking at the highlights anyway, he had a decent enough game, scored a couple of nice points. But so I just don't understand what. I would have thought this year they would have unearthed maybe someone new or someone that brings something a bit different to it, but I don't know if they have. But yeah, I would say Robbie O'Flynn is the one person that maybe they should try and build something around. And then maybe you could have Patrick Horgan inside, yeah, so they need to come up with something different, I think, if they're going to push on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Robbie O'Flynn does start. I'd say Harnedy starts. I'd probably go Lehan, Jack O'Connor, Shane Barrett, and Shane Kingston in that forward line and the various other positions. That'll be the 6 that I'd kind of go with if I have counted out 6 there, like ordinary maths and all that. But now, so then on the other side, while Tipperary did score a lot going forward, they also conceded a lot. They conceded 3 goals and 23 points. And when you look at Cork's forward line can score heavily. They have in the past. Do you think that they're eyeing that up in this game?
Yeah, and I think when you look at the 5 goals that Tipperary scored, like 3 of them really were gifted to them. There were mistakes from 2 from the goalkeeper, and then there was another one. I don't think it was the goalkeeper's fault. I
There's a
can't remember.
short puck out, yeah.
Yeah. So you do have to look at it in that sense. Now, are Cork any tighter at the back than Clare? I
No,
don't
and
really know.
that's a really good point. Cork gave away so many goal chances to Waterford in that second half.
Yeah, and like Tipperary ran through Clare as well at times. So, and I think they could potentially do that against Cork as well. Now, I don't know, are Cork going to bring Kieran Joyce back to sort of try and nullify some of that, possibly. But then in the other side of it, I think Tipperary are so much more physical than Waterford will be, and I think that's where maybe some of the struggle might come for Cork. Is like Waterford were at 6s and 7s, whereas I think Tipperary will be a lot better drilled and a lot more aggressive than Waterford were. So I don't think the Cork forwards are going to get anywhere near as easy as easy a time. So I think Tipperary are gonna have too much for Cork. I think they're just too big and strong, really. That's what it come down to. And in the Munster Championship, that's a lot of the time what it does come down to. The bigger, stronger teams tend to overcome the other teams. So yeah, I think Tipperary are kind of going to come through in that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just about. I think if you're going skill for skill, player for player, I think it's pretty even. But I think Tipperary have really strengthened up on their size. If you look at the minute Liam Cahill came in, his first half forward line, he's Alan Tyne in there, Gerard O'Connor, Seamus Kennedy was moved out there. Like, it's very clear he was going for, power in his team, and he was definitely eyeing up Limerick, down the line, because if you want to win the All-Ireland, you have to go through Limerick to do it. And yeah, I just feel like he's brought that intensity that made Waterford so good in the league, and he's brought it to Tip now. And I just feel like they will be a little bit too strong for Cork. Like